There is a chamber beneath the conscious mind, a subterranean vault. It is sealed by shame, guarded by the persona you wear daily. This vault is where psychic energy stagnates, where the raw force of libido turns sour, toxic. This is the sexual shadow. We speak of desire, but we misunderstand its true breadth. Freud saw the riverbed, Jung mapped the ocean. Libido is not just the impulse toward the physical act, it is the heat of transformation. It is the fire that fuels all creativity, all ambition, all drive toward individuation. It is the undifferentiated force of life itself. When this primal current is denied its expression, it does not simply dissolve. It pools. It thickens. It becomes a dense, heavy water, a psychic swamp where neurosis breeds quietly. Observe the symptoms of the stagnant soul. The sudden, inexplicable bursts of anger, the chronic feeling of emptiness. The frantic search for external validation, the compulsive need for control, or the total surrender to apathy. These are not separate afflictions. They are merely the surface ripples, the signs that the source energy below is trapped. The shadow demands recognition. It does not argue, it simply forces its way into your conscious life through distortions. It manifests as the unacceptable fantasy, the impulse you judge most harshly. You try to wall it off, to pretend the primal furnace does not exist within the temple of your being. But the pressure mounts relentlessly. Every denied impulse is a stone added to the wall of your prison. And what is truly trapped is not the desire itself, but the power residing within that desire. The vault holds the potential for wholeness. It contains the unlived life, the paths you rejected out of fear of social censure. It holds the raw, untamed archetypes, the lover, the destroyer, the fertile earth. When we repress the sexual shadow, we are not merely suppressing a physical urge. We are crippling the very mechanism of our psychic growth. We are refusing the energy required to build the bridge, to cross the abyss between who we pretend to be, and who we are. The collective consciousness insists that this energy be sanitized, contained, rendered safe. But true power is never safe. It is volatile. It is demanding. It asks for skillful handling, not banishment. Think of the great alchemists, they did not discard the base lead. They understood that the raw material, the prima materia, must be subjected to the fire. Your sexual shadow is your base lead. It is the starting point for the most profound transmutation. Until you acknowledge the darkness of that desire, you remain a partial being. You operate on a fraction of your true voltage. Look closely at your shame. Shame is the primary guard dog of the shadow realm. It convinces you that your deepest instincts are inherently corrupt, that they will lead only to ruin. This is a lie designed to maintain the status quo of your suffering. The instinct itself is neutral. It is pure energy. The morality assigned to it is a construct, a societal cage built around the wild animal of the self. To face the shadow is to confront the source of your vitality. It means recognizing that the things you hide, the things you fear most about your own nature, are the keys to unlocking your full capacity. The repression costs you dearly, every day. It is the subtle drain on your focus, the background hum of anxiety that never truly dissipates. It is the energy that should be driving your work, your relationships, your creative fire. Instead, it is stuck, turning against you. The neurosis is the result of this internal civil war. It is the soul's protest against being denied its necessary fuel. The energy must flow. If it cannot flow outward in creation and connection, it flows inward, becoming destructive. It feeds the internal critic, the self-saboteur. It weaponizes your own mind against your best interests. This is the profound tragedy of the unexamined life. We seek happiness in the light, while standing on a vast reserve of power hidden in the dark. The first step is simply to look down. To admit that the vault exists. And that the pressure within is now unbearable. The pressure demands release, but not through blind action. It demands consciousness. To open the vault is not to surrender to every chaotic impulse, it is to bring the light of awareness to the darkness that sustains them. You must descend, alone, into the subterranean chamber. This is the true hero's journey inward, facing a dragon whose teeth are made of your own self-contempt. The shadow is deceptive. It does not announce itself as power. It looks instead like ugliness, like perversion, like the things you fear make you truly monstrous in the eyes of the world. These are merely the masks worn by undifferentiated energy, the psychic residue of a life lived under constant moral suppression. Look deeper than the moral judgment imposed by your culture, look past the fear. Ask what the impulse wants. What psychic hunger does it truly serve? Is it the hunger for intimacy? For recognition? For a raw, unfiltered experience of life that your conscious self deems too risky? The shadow is not merely a collection of negative traits. It is the repository of unclaimed gold. It holds the vigor, the assertiveness, the capacity for necessary destruction that allows new growth. If you refuse the shadow, if you keep the vault sealed, it does not stay contained below the surface. It leaks out. It contaminates your entire perception of the world above. You see your own repressed darkness reflected in the eyes of others. The person you most despise, the public figure whose flaws trigger your most intense moral outrage, often holds a mirror to the part of the self you refuse to integrate. This is the mechanism of projection, the profound avoidance of self-responsibility. You accuse the world of holding the darkness that you yourself harbor, safely hidden behind the persona. Projection is costly. It binds your energy to external conflicts, to battles that are fundamentally internal. It keeps you perpetually distracted from the necessary work of inward integration. The work of integration is an alchemical process. It cannot be rushed. It requires fire, the fire of intense self-scrutiny and relentless honesty. The base material, the raw, primal libido locked in the shadow, must be heated, examined without moral panic. This heat separates the pure energy from the shameful husk of societal conditioning. You realize that the energy itself is neutral fuel. It is neither good nor evil. It is the same force that drives the greatest saints toward ecstatic devotion, and the deepest villains toward obsessive control. The difference lies only in the conscious direction of the flow, the channel you choose to build. Repression builds a dam, and the water stagnates. Conscious transmutation builds a turbine, and the water generates power. This is the profound realization that frees the psyche from its self-imposed prison. The sexual shadow is the engine of your potential, not the evidence of your inherent corruption. The key to transmutation lies in symbolic expression, in finding vessels for the energy that satisfy the underlying psychic need, without necessarily fulfilling the literal, raw impulse. If the shadow impulse is a hunger for dominance, how can that energy be channeled into mastery within your chosen craft? If the impulse is a hunger for raw, unfiltered connection, how can that energy fuel true vulnerability and depth in your existing relationships, rather than fleeting, anonymous encounters? The libido, when acknowledged and accepted, becomes the raw material for creativity. It is the intense focus required for sustained intellectual labor, the drive toward artistic perfection, the necessary aggression to defend your boundaries and your time. When the energy is consciously released from the vault, it does not vanish into chaos. It rises. It becomes available for higher functions. The focus previously consumed by repression, the endless cycle of judgment and denial, is suddenly free. It manifests as sustained, quiet concentration. As the ability to pursue a difficult, long-term task with unwavering vigor. The psychic pressure is transformed from neurosis into creative tension. This is the hallmark of the integrated self, the person who no longer fights against their own nature. They have learned to harness the volatile power of the unconscious. The libido ceases to be a source of shame and becomes the engine of individuation, the force that compels you toward your unique destiny. The path to integration requires a constant dialogue with the darkness. It means listening to the desires that whisper from the deep, not to obey them blindly, but to understand their message. What aspect of your unlived life is demanding attention? What essential quality, the wildness, the tenderness, the ruthless ambition, did you sacrifice in order to earn the approval of the collective? The shadow holds the record of those sacrifices. Every neurosis is a monument to an unacknowledged truth. Every compulsive behavior is a clumsy attempt to utilize trapped energy. The man addicted to external stimulation is often seeking the intensity of feeling that his repressed internal life denies him. The woman obsessed with control is often attempting to bind the chaos of her own volatile, unexamined instincts. The shadow, neglected, will always find a way to express itself, usually through the back door of your life. It will hijack your relationships, sabotage your work, and dictate your choices from a position of unseen power. Integration is the process of bringing the shadow through the front door. It is the act of saying, I see you. You are part of me. Now, tell me what you need to become whole. This confrontation requires immense courage, because the shadow is the repository of your greatest fears about yourself. It is the fear that if you acknowledge the darkness, you will lose your moral footing entirely. But true morality is not based on repression, it is based on conscious choice. Only when you know the full extent of your internal landscape, the light and the abyssal dark, can you truly claim responsibility for your actions. Until then, you are merely a puppet of the unconscious forces you refuse to name. The transformation is painful. It requires the dissolution of the false self, the breaking down of the persona built on lies and denial. But the reward is psychic freedom, the profound sense of power that comes from standing fully in your own truth. The libido flows freely now, a river of vitality, no longer a stagnant swamp breeding illness. It becomes the fire beneath the alchemist's crucible, heating the soul for its final, necessary transformation. The energy flows now, freed from the dam of shame. It carves the channel of your destiny. This is not a gentle stream, it is a torrent of primal force. It demands respect, it requires constant, conscious direction, but it yields boundless vitality. You cease to be defined by your neuroses. They were merely the symptoms of that trapped water. You become the master of your own internal landscape. The shadow does not vanish, it is simply integrated. It stands beside you now, a silent, powerful ally. It lends its ruthless clarity to your conscious aims, its vigor to your purpose. The darkness is no longer a hidden enemy, it is a source of strength. This is the end of the internal civil war. The psychic energy previously consumed by repression, by the endless labor of maintaining the false persona, is suddenly available for life itself. It manifests as presence, as deep, unwavering focus in the moment. The anxiety that hummed constantly in the background dissipates, because the fear of exposure dissolves. You have already seen the worst of yourself, and accepted it. You are no longer afraid of your own depth. The transmutation is complete when the sexual shadow, the base lead, has been refined into the gold of consciousness. This gold is not moral superiority. It is psychic freedom. It is the ability to choose your actions, not from compulsion, but from a position of wholeness. Do not mistake this integration for perfection. The darkness lurks always at the edge of the light, the unconscious is an infinite reservoir. But you now hold the map to the subterranean vault. You know the way down, and crucially, the way back up. The path of individuation is a cycle, a constant descent into the depths, and an informed return to the world. You must continue to listen to the whisper of the unlived life. You must honor the energy that demands expression, channeling it carefully into creation, into connection, into the profound work of becoming. You have claimed your whole self. The libido is the fuel, the unquenchable fire of the soul's becoming. Go now, and use the power you unlocked. The world awaits the one who is no longer afraid of their own darkness. Disclaimer: this is philosophical exploration, not therapy. Consult professionals.